YouTube, Awesome Rider here. Welcome to my review for episode 3 of Zeztz. I know, surprise, I'm back on camera. For those of you that have watched these reviews, or maybe my Gav reviews and didn't know that I would sometimes be on camera, sorry, I'm not better looking. I just felt like doing this. I'm going to be doing a couple more videos in the traditional style in the next few weeks, but I was kind of feeling inspired to do this tonight. But let's talk about Zeztz episode 3. I'm also going to be structuring things differently, where I actually don't talk about Zeztz, but talk about the Office spin-off, The Paper. I'm just kidding. I'm going to be Paper's actually pretty underrated, though. I think people are like wanting to hate on it. It's got potential. Anyway, I'm going to be doing more of like a pros and cons thing where I do my pros and then mix/cons. It's less negative so far, like I'm not into the series enough where there's like outright negatives, things I really hate, but I do have some mixed things. But we're going to start with the positives, and I'll say that I'm really glad that they've held off on using any other forms and stuff. I don't remember when Gav first debuted our ability form with the potato chips, but in general, these Rider series get started pretty quick, episode 3, 4, maybe even back-to-back in these forms. So I like that they're a little more balanced. I think it's an effort to sort of bring in a new audience. Maybe it's just me reading too much into it, but the vibe I get from the series overall is they're going for this little bit more grounded tone while sprinkling in the stuff we know from Toku, from Rider, with the silliness and with the gimmick, you know, when they have the scene like, here's the capsules and stuff, and then also like the message of, I'm gonna protect people's dreams, classic Toku stuff. So I feel like they're doing a good job so far of having those sort of parts of the Toku DNA in there for the existing audience, but also making it a little bit more accessible and not going like full tilt weird. So I think that's pretty well done, and I like that thus far, like, we've shown off the capsules and stuff, but it's with like the arm abilities and stuff, and we haven't done a new form. The fights have still been really good. I'm really enjoying that. I really like the score still, the background score and the songs. Like, we haven't gotten the opening yet, which I don't mind, to be honest with you, a hot take. I'd prefer to have the extra minutes in the episode than a 3-minute music video opening, but I do like the music. I know it's a hot take. I also really like the revelations we got here about how the nightmares work. I was wondering last week about how that would work with, like, the nightmares need to basically defeat somebody in their dreams, more or less, and it reminded me of the Phantoms and Wizard, how they made to need someone. Wow, I haven't done on camera in a while. They needed to make someone lose despair. Well, is that even right? Do I remember how to do this with it looking at me? Don't look at me while I talk. Needed to make someone completely give up and basically give into despair so they could take their body. So I'm like, what benefit does it bring the nightmares? And apparently it allows them to enter our world. And the stakes in this episode were crazy because it felt like an arc finale or a series finale, like, oh my god, the world's covered in darkness, which is crazy. I almost wish they had built to this, where like it had been maybe 5-6 episodes where we held off the nightmares and then one got through and we saw the real stakes. Although I guess it shows the real stakes very early on, and that's very, very interesting. I like the way that works. I think the idea that we'll have fights and conflicts are the same thing, Dawson. Get it together. That we'll have fights and conflicts in the real world and the dream world. I do have a mixed feeling about that, but I think that opens up a lot of potential. I certainly hope now that we've opened things up to the real world that we don't dial back the dream world stuff, because I think the unique fights and the dream logic we can have there is really well done, and I think that's a really unique aspect of the series. Now, as far as my mixed feelings, it more so comes down to me worrying about a couple things. Like, first of all, with our main character, I still like our lead. I find him to be very likable. Certainly not anywhere near a Hotaro situation. I can't see it becoming that. But I was looking forward to having possibly a more serious lead following the same cookie-cutter leads for so many years, with the exception of Ace. And then we got the premiere, and I'm like, actually, this is really unique, because they can have their cake and eat it too, which I still think is a dumb phrase, but they can do that because you have kind of your classic everyman writer protagonist in the present day, and then you have your badass in the dreams. And I'm like, this is cool because they can have it both ways. And then also I liked the idea of it almost being a Yami Yugi type of thing, where maybe over time he would slowly gain his confidence. And it feels like we're spending more and more time with the everyman half of him, and it feels more like that cut from the same cloth protagonist, and I'm so tired of feeling like I'm just watching the variant of the same person. Not to mention, when we got to the real world fight, as cool as that was, I think there's missed potential. And mind you, this is episode 3, so they could remedy this, change this, expand upon this. But at this moment, I thought it would have been cool if he couldn't fight so well in the real world. That would make sense, because in the dream world, you're confident you can do anything. I think it would be neat if in the real world the fights were tougher. Maybe he had to remember a movie pulled off in the dream world and pull it off here, and slowly get better at fighting. Same thing with his confidence. He just kind of instantly snaps into that Agent 7 persona, and I liked the idea of his development being, over the course of the series, him becoming more like his dream persona, aka the person he wants to be. And as it is here, it seems just interchangeable, and we'll see. Again, it's episode 3 only. They could prove me wrong. They could do this with another character, but I think that that's a really like missed opportunity there to have that ability to show that development in a really unique way, because it kind of doesn't make sense that he would just be able to fight like he did in the dream. Although 9 times out of 10 writers in the series, once they get their belt, develop fighting skills real quick, sans, special cases like Ryotaro wasn't good at fighting until he bonded with Imajin, until you get to stuff like Liner, but even then, I think that form basically just gave him the skills without the possession. It's kind of like that scene in Buffy where Dawn's like, oh, the fancy martial arts skill that vampires suddenly develop. But yeah, I still really am enjoying the series. I think it's been a really strong start. I'm really curious to see or know how many people are jumping on. Like how many people are jumping on Cold, thought about getting into Toku, this is their chance. But I think it's a strong start. I'm really invested. I love the tone. I like the characters. I'm just a little bit disappointed by possibly some of the missed potential, but it's only episode 3. We'll have to see where it goes. But what did you guys think of the episode? Let me know in the comments as always. Till next time, Dawson Rider, signing out.